Welcome to the Zachrilege Cast podcast, YouTube video interview program that features the ass of the atheist community, and everyone at Reasoncon knows it, talking to some of the best and brightest in the atheist / secular / awesome community. This is episode number 93. We're recording live on April 25th, 2017. Thank you to Rachel Woodard, aka Misbehavin', aka Sign My Hug Shirt, aka the one I had to tell to put down her unicorn headdress so I could see the speakers at fucking Reasoncon. Such a lovely individual, new relationship energy, hangovers finally passed, check out PSF. So there are times when you can feel the noodly appendage of the flying spaghetti monster guiding your actions to the greater good. I met Celes Dreyer at NanoCon last month and said, "Hey, you're dating Callie, right? But I bet you have a story to tell of your own." To which she replied, "Of course, I am doubly fabulous." No, Celeste did not say that, but I could see it in her eyes. Now that we've finally reconnected, we have a story to tell. Celeste has a tale of love. Welcome aboard. Welcome to the show. And yes, we will have an avatar tonight, but that's okay because it's all about video games, right?
Yes, all about video games. Hello.
Okay, now, when I invited you in the show, I knew that you didn't actually do a podcast, so I wouldn't have any out-of-context quotes to use, but I got one today. Thank you, Facebook. So here's the one. Nanobots to make everyone queer. If you don't get that, you should be following Marissa. So let's get to know you. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in northern Kentucky. I basically lived in a city called Southgate most of my life.
So you really stayed local, right?
Yeah, well, where Callie is, yeah. I was raised Catholic, to be honest. I decided I hated church when I was in the first grade, to the point of where I hid in my locker.
Wow.
To get away from it. They had to bribe me to go to church after that. Like, the teachers would bribe me with tattoos and candy to go to church.
Tattoos and candy. I like that.
Little stick-on tattoos or whatever.
I was like, wait, that's like something that's actually prohibited in the Bible and they were giving it to you. I know it was temporary, but still, impressive work. Whatever it takes,
yeah.
Right?
You mean, do they ever pay attention to the Bible, really, though?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know
either. Other interesting things of growing up, I was actually an altar boy for a while, just so I didn't have to sit in church, so I had something better to do.
Okay.
And I also participated in choir, which was also interesting.
Does that mean you're like a superstar in karaoke?
Nah, I can't sing worth crap. I did it to get out of church again, because I didn't have to.
That's impressive. You dropped off. I want to make sure you're still here. Uh-oh. It appears we've lost the audio here.
And I got kicked out for some reason. That was really weird. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, what's strange is I actually see two of your avatars. And I haven't seen that before, but yeah, you were talking, then you kind of dropped out as, I think after I mentioned that. Okay, so you're not a karaoke star. Well, we can't all be, right?
Yeah, I just did it to get out of the basic sit, stand, kneel church. I was tired of that, and I didn't understand why people do it. So I've been an atheist for a long time. I never really told anyone until I started dating Callie. Like, I just tell them I was agnostic, and I finally made my mom give up on making me go to church when I went to high school. And that was the end of that, thankfully. As far as growing up, beyond that, high school was pretty much nothing. I took classes, got to college, flunked out the first time. Can you hear me okay still?
Yeah, I just turn off my mic when I'm occasionally burping. The downsides of beer.
And so I got to college. I flunked out the first time because of video games, to be honest. Started working at a help desk, decided I didn't want that job, went back to college. Was working towards my computer science degree when I met Callie. Ended up finishing my computer science degree, and that's where you get the nanobots to make everyone queer. I want to go into machine learning research at some point. I don't know if I'll get there. Right now, I'm a business analyst for the college that I graduated from, which is nowhere near a research level position, but we'll see.
Want to go back to school then?
Yeah, I actually get graduate classes for free. So after I get surgery for my science vagina, so next year I will be going back for my master's in computer science.
Pretty awesome. That's a lot of plans you got there.
Yeah.
So was there a certain point? It sounds like you just early on in life, religion, not really for me.
Yeah.
But when did you think that maybe you weren't the gender that you were assigned at birth?
Oh, that's a good question. I'd say back when I was 10 or 11, I realized it. But, at that age, you've seen how kids that act differently are treated. I was already bullied for being a video game geek and stuff like that. So I kind of just buried the gender and was in denial until I was 26, which is a really long time to deny who you are.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. It's interesting, the intersection, hearing stories about people who become atheists and decide they're trans. There's almost like I didn't know that their option was there. And then also, of course, there's the just love and affection you get from everybody in the world when you make that, open decision, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, to be completely frank and honest, for the first few weeks, I'm glad it only lasted a couple weeks. I was pretty much depressed and near suicidal. I lucked out and got the courage enough to tell my older sister, which confiding in her helped. After confiding into her, I confided into one of my best friends. I'd known him since the 4th grade, and he was very supportive. And the both of them convinced me to go see a therapist. And through that therapist, I was able to work out a lot of issues, come out to my parents, come out to work, and get everything started. A year after that, I found out about Callie's podcast and started listening to her podcasts, became a patron, and then started hanging out with her and Google Hangouts, ironically. And rest is pretty much history. We started dating after a while, and it went really quickly. She's better at telling that story than I am. It just, first date went to sex in about an hour. Let's go with that.
It seems like things worked out well. I'm guessing on that first hangout you weren't using this avatar, or maybe not.
No, I have a different computer that has a camera. It just didn't have battery, and its quality of, it's a cheap little $300 computer.
So what is that avatar? I think you explained that before we got recording.
It's the concept art for, one of the concept arts for Final Fantasy VI. And that actually ties in pretty well because my name is from Final Fantasy VI. Because I got to choose it.
Yeah, what's that like? I mean, you kind of get a name thrown on you, and some people might change it, but you had the opportunity to do that. Was that a tough decision, picking that name?
You'd think it was. What actually happened is I was using Celes for some anonymous trans Reddit boards, and I wasn't planning on using it, but it worked as a good anonymous name, and it just ended up sticking. And I liked the character a lot, and was like, you know what, I'm going to go with that. Now, my middle name, there's a funny story behind that. My dad got pissed off because my friend suggested to take the other character from Final Fantasy VI, Terra, and use it. And he got so pissed off about it that I just decided to, as in spite, take it as my middle name. And it works as well. So I'm legally Celeste Terra Dreyer, soon to be Celeste Terra, right?
So you're taking a name, but I feel like you're getting a little ahead of ourselves. So
sorry.
Oh no, that's all right. I think most people listening to this know the ending to the story.
Yeah.
But it's like the opposite of Titanic. You know it's going to happen. It's going to be awesome. So hold on.
Yep.
That's
Sorry.
it's the telling of the story. It's totally fine. Oh, so podcast stalking actually works. I think that's good news to a lot of people.
I don't think it normally works. It just kind of worked out this way because usually stalking people is not a good thing. And what actually, I'll tell them more of the story. What actually triggered it is she made a post about how awful it is dating online and how people don't read her profile, and that she'd have people, message her with a nice message, and then she would have to explain that she was trans, and then they would disappear or say something awful to her, or even worse, treat her like a sex object. And for some reason, even though I'm not like that, like the person at all that is very bold, I was bold that night and sent her a message. And from that message, we got together, started dating, and yeah, that was great.
But did you live pretty close to each other?
She lived in Sharonville, and I lived in Southgate at the time. It was about a 45-minute drive. Wasn't too bad.
That had to be kind of a relief. It's like, hey, we're within like an hour of each other, which actually would probably be a good distance in case it didn't work out. It's like, man, if you live down the street, it would be rough. Maybe.
A fun fact is she's only the second person I've ever dated.
Interesting. Huh.
And the first person I dated ended up being a trans man.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It makes sense when you have kind of a similar story to each other.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Marissa and Aiden, another example. Although that's an interesting one because it's trans man, trans woman, but,
Yeah.
Whatever. You make it work. You watch lots of Star Trek reruns, I assume.
Yep.
Yeah, you're going to have to... Maybe you could be the one to help me out. See, I come to, atheist conferences, and I'm afraid they're going to reject me because I really haven't watched a lot of Star Trek. How does one, fit into the Star Trek world, and where do you get started? If you've only seen, I've seen a few of the movies, but I really haven't seen the TV shows at all.
I would suggest The Next Generation. At least that's one of my favorites so far, but I haven't seen Voyager or Deep Space Nine yet. And I've been avoiding the originals because, well, lots of reasons.
Yeah, I would say some ways they're probably dated but interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that all on Netflix? Feels like everything's on Netflix now.
Yeah, it's all Netflix. But
that's one of the
really good.
That's one of the tough things about watching some older show. I decided to watch an episode of West Wing when I had a week of Netflix, and I'm like, I have a week of Netflix. I can't watch 7 seasons of 22 episodes, and I'm sure The Next Generation is like that, but maybe someday. I'm trying to remember who it was. It might have been one of the atheist nomads who was watching the entire series in order of the timeline of Star Trek, and I can't imagine how long that would take.
But yeah, I'm completely new to Star Trek, honestly. I have never been a movie or TV buff. My nerd cred falls under anime and video games for the most part.
Well, have you obtained one of the NES classics? Guess not.
What do you mean by NES classics? There's lots.
Well, it's that little mini version of the Nintendo, old Nintendo that they put out last year and was very hard to find.
That's not worth the money.
Huh.
To be honest, you can.
I know you can get it online, and if you knew someone who could, make nanobots make everybody gay, then obviously you can put together a few games, right?
Yeah, there's emulators online. You can go to a website, download them pretty much instantly. It's a little bit shady, but not too much. And to be honest, if the Nintendo Classic actually was, you could load other games onto it, it would be awesome. But it comes with preloaded games, and that's it.
Yeah, that's a bit of an issue, and I know people have figured out how to add games, but there's no way I'm going to do that because I just not a chance. And I just had a coworker who got one, and I was like, okay. And the sad thing is, I don't know if it's sad. My wife and I actually play that Dr. Mario game, which is basically like Tetris. That's the one we play all the time.
Oh, it's a ton of fun to play with people.
But I've enjoyed. Well, we got a second controller so we could play 2-player because we've only had one. It was we were actually playing, was it Donkey Kong, where I would plug the controller into A and then plug it into B when her turn came up. I was like, yeah,
That's
I can get
awesome.
another controller. That might be a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Was it a couple that plays together, stays together, right?
Yeah, Nintendo games are awesome. If you ever do want help setting up emulators, I have a lot of Super Nintendo games I could suggest for you that you should try.
See? I knew I was making a good connection here. You're somebody who knows stuff. I need to, talk with you. Wait, that's what I'm doing. Okay, so you made a transition. You're now engaged to a superstar of a podcast. But what was it like for you to go to that first conference? Well, I don't know if it was your first conference. Let me know. How was it going to NanoCon in Nashville?
NanoCon was actually my first conference, but it wasn't this year. It was last year. I went with Callie.
Oh, I missed out on that one, man. So what was it like this year versus last year, since I missed out on last year's?
This year was interesting compared to last year because it was in a church.
Right,
Which felt really weird. The church did not have any air conditioning, so it was pretty uncomfortable to begin with. And then I don't deal well with crowds or heat. I mean, I don't know if you noticed, I had to leave a couple of times during talks at Reasoncon just because it was just way too hot and crowded in rooms.
Yeah, hotels get that way. Like you go to a conference, it's one piece of advice, like make sure to layer. Although honestly, this year at Reasoncon, the only time I needed my extra layer was on Sunday because it was damn cold outside. But some of those hotel rooms and conference rooms get really cold, and you're like, what's happened here? But you do have to crank it up. You have so many people. If you have people visiting your room, you have to lower the temp. But that's where I got to meet you, and I said, hey, let's do an interview. And then you're like, why is this guy not darn cis men not calling me back kind of thing?
Whatever.
But I think it worked out.
It did.
Pretty well, the timing for everything. So we might as well get on to Reasoncon. So Callie was going to speak, and you drive down on, was it Thursday?
We flew down on Thursday.
You flew down. Okay.
Yeah.
Smart call. What was it like on kind of the pre-night on Thursday?
It was pretty chill. Just a few people were in the hotel. We got in the room. Pretty much then hung out with Bobby and Ashley and Bill and Susie and so many other people that I can't think of names at the moment, even though I should know them.
Yeah, that
Jim
happened to me
Dobler
too.
and Misty and I want to say Shannon. God, my brain's fried still. But lots of people, and they're all amazing.
Yeah, I don't think it was until about 2 or 3 weeks before the conference when I started hearing that people were going to show up on Thursday. So I feel like 2 years ago, most everybody showed up on Friday. But then I was like, man, well, I'm only taking one day off work. All right, but everybody had already had a day of partying ahead of us.
Yeah, I think on Thursday, if I remember correctly, there was a cocktail party.
Well, I heard, there was like a party at somebody's house, and then everybody went to Bobby and Ashley's room.
Yep, both of those things happened.
So they can keep an eye on Susie.
I'm just awful in social situations, so I don't have lots of memories from those. It's just like I go hide in corners usually.
Yeah, I was wondering, was everybody pretty sensitive to that? I mean,
yeah,
don't want to be like too boisterous because Kelly's pretty much can be the life of the party, and has quite a good measure of confidence every situation I've ever seen her.
Callie's like the exact opposite of me in social situations.
So it worked pretty well then.
Yeah.
Well, what can you tell me about kind of how things went on Friday when kind of the majority of people were starting to show up, and then the whole VIP dinner and events that night?
So people are starting to show up. I got to meet a lot of people that I know on Facebook, but did not ever meet in meat space. Let's go with that word. But Marissa, Trav, I'm drawing blanks again. Sorry. But yeah, I met a lot of different people. Got overwhelmed again because there was a lot of people there. Turned to alcohol to fix that.
Yeah, that's kind of a universal experience. Yeah, and Friday, I got in at like 11, and they let me check in, which I was kind of surprised.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just kind of hanging out, going, I need to eat something because I know we're going to start drinking.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, some people had already started drinking. So I grabbed the Scenic City Skeptics, Brian and Lexi, and we went to eat, and then we came back, and yeah, the afternoon got started appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
But the event, the VIP event started kind of a little bit of an early bird special hour, 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I kind of wondered for a second, I saw that it was like, I assumed that it would all be done at 9. And it was like, Bobby was going to be talking for like 2 hours. Like, man, I cannot imagine what's going to happen. I did not know about all the awards. How was it for you when they were given the honor to Sammy Bannister and Jeremiah got to talk?
Oh, I was crying. It was overwhelming. I mean, I had known the story, but actually being there with people and hearing about it with the way they explained it, I just started crying. It's a really sad story. And it's still inspirational too. Man, it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's almost like an example. Like, how can atheists deal with a situation like this? And really, the Bannisters are dealing with it way better than I think I could, or many people could. And maybe it was Sammy's example, but yeah, she won. I can't remember what the names of the awards were. I remember seeing them at some point. I don't know if it's the champion of secularism, but we had Seth Andrews, the Thinking Atheist, do a little bit of talk, and a few other people involved, like David Smalley, and then Bobby did a little talk, and got to see her talk. I mean, what's more of an emotional trigger than seeing someone who's dead speaking, and then it's a 12-year-old, and you're just like, really?
Yeah.
There's so much potential and so much enthusiasm. And what she went through, I mean, I went through a pretty bad hospitalization once, but hearing about, I think he shared a video once that showed her getting like an IV, but it was like around her heart, and it just looked like it was so painful. But she was just able to deal with it, and I was just impressed. And yeah, I mean, this weekend was no fair, okay? It was just not fair. I'm a pretty heart of stone person, generally speaking. It's hard to get me to cry, and this weekend I was just leaking like a faucet. I mean, it was just ridiculous.
This weekend pulled no punches in the feels at all.
I mean, not at all. Not to say it was a bad thing, because for the most part, it was good. And did you get to stay for Shelley, her concert?
I did. And the talk before the concert was also very heavy.
Yeah, because we had Shannon Nebo speak as well. And I had seen her, and I'd seen the Normalized Atheism, but I hadn't actually really interacted with them before. Look, I don't care if you do a podcast or if you pay attention. You're not going to know everybody at a conference when like 400 people are there. Even all the people who have shows, you're like, wait, this is a show? Yes. There's always new people to meet, and it was impossible to keep up. And even though there are name tags, it was hard for me to remember names later to go, oh yeah, maybe I should friend some of these people on Facebook so I remember who they are.
Speaking of name tags, I got mistaken for Callie and Marissa 4 different times.
I think I saw some of that on Facebook.
Yeah.
You're like, do you see the purple? Hello.
Yeah. And I look nothing like Callie. It's flattering in some ways and not in others.
I mean, so you both wear glasses, but yeah, not. I mean, come on, but I don't know.
Yeah.
People were interesting. So, how did the first, well, I guess second night finish up? Did you get to end up in kind of bouncing from room to room as a lot of people did? or at the, I guess, hotel bar. A lot of people were doing.
I didn't really do much the second night. I believe after the concert, what did we do? I was with Callie for a while, and then I went back to the room. I don't remember exactly when. I was drunk that night. Like I had
Yeah.
2 whiskey sours and 2 Long Island iced teas, and I'm a lightweight, so I was kind of out.
Yeah. At this conference, I mean, as the person who probably brought the most beer at the conference, yeah, there was a lot going on. I was
Yeah.
actually disappointed that people weren't drinking as much of my beer, but that sure changed on Saturday. So when you woke up on Saturday where you're like, man, something big is going to happen today.
Nope. I knew Callie was going to talk. I knew there were going to be other good talks. Beyond that, I didn't really expect anything big at all.
Well, looking back, sometimes you can see things, and then after the fact, you're like, oh yeah, was there anything that Callie was doing or saying that made you think later, oh yeah, this was, she was laying the groundwork?
No, she was very good about not giving hints, other than she wanted me front and center for her speech, but she usually does, so that didn't trigger any flags.
Didn't someone grab your phone at some point during the presentation? Or is that when?
They grabbed my phone after I was crying.
Right. Okay, so we'll try to set it up for the people who weren't there, and let's reenact maybe for the people who were there. I was kind of toward the front. I just remember Callie gave the speech, and everybody else who had spoken that morning had almost taken up all their time, like they couldn't even ask any questions. She left like about 20 minutes before the next speaker was supposed to go. And it was like, okay, ask some questions. And there were a few questions. And then it was the screen to her right said one more thing. And I'll let you know that she actually did text me and tell me at NanoCon that this she was going to propose. And my lizard brain did not remember anything. It was like, what's happening here? I didn't think, oh, this might be it. And so Callie told everybody to start recording on their phones.
And so I did too, because I had no idea what was going on.
And what happened with Callie? What would Callie do again?
She gave a long speech about, or not long, but a speech about how Reasoncon affected her life and how awesome it is. And then went right into how this helped her meet me. And then went on with the proposal.
And I assume there was a bit of shock at that moment.
A lot of shock. She had been telling me for a year that she was not ready to get married.
Oh,
She had emotional baggage. She wasn't ready to get married, and the only reason she was telling me that is she was offered to speak at Reasoncon and planned this for over a year to propose to me. She just didn't want me to propose to her, so she lied to me for a year.
Yeah, I guess you're right. In our fun patriarchal society, it's the guy that's always expected to. But if you got two women involved, it's like, well, anyone can throw it out there.
Whoever gets to it.
And at this point, you almost have to go, can we do this quickly before it gets overturned?
Yeah.
But that's a totally different thing. And we don't want to go into that now. We're happy now. Happy talk, la, la, la.
Well, there was thoughts of that, and there was also thoughts that I might not, she might not have insurance to cover the vagina, or I might not have insurance to cover the vagina. So we're going to get married to basically be on one insurance. But she was able to resist that, and we were both able to get insurance from our respective employers, which is good too. Hers is slightly better, to be honest, but mine's good enough.
Yeah, I heard about Callie's worry when she was getting, I think it was a gastric bypass or something like similar to that surgery.
Gastric sleeve.
And then almost up to like the day of surgery, there was a chance that it was not going to happen, which is crazy because you have to do a lot of preparation for that.
Yeah, that was so stressful. She was so stressed out. It was crazy. And then, lo and behold, a couple months before we're supposed to go out to California for surgery, the surgeon calls Callie and tells her that she has changed her BMI restrictions from 40 to 35, and Callie needs to lose a ton of weight to get surgery. But of course, that's not exactly what she meant. But Callie took it like that because she was on drugs from having dental surgery that day. And so she hung up thinking that the doctor had meant that her surgery would be canceled if she didn't make that BMI. So I had to set up a phone call with the doctor that was a couple weeks later and double check everything. And I talked to the doctor and she's like, no, I didn't mean to say that I was canceling the surgery. I just want her as close to this BMI as possible if she can.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pressure anyway.
Yeah.
Talk about having a lot of surgery. I mean, man, I didn't even know there was dental surgery involved. That's no fun. Well, no surgery is fun, but obviously you're looking for a good result there. It's just going to be a little bit in the future. So I don't know. What was it like to have, basically 400 people applauding you as you have been proposed to? And then, of course, there was about a minute or so where it's like, did you say yes? I'm pretty sure somebody yelled that at some point.
All I did was hug her because I had no words. I just grabbed Callie as close as possible because I couldn't talk. I was in front of 400 people. I was nervous. I was excited. Tons of emotions running through me, so I was just holding Callie as tight as possible. And then when I finally calmed down enough to say yes, it squeaked out, and then Callie's like, she said yes, and then everyone made a bunch more noise.
And you got the ring too, right?
Yep.
Is there any special significance to that, or is it just, hey, I got a ring, I'm cool?
It's shaped like 3 8-bit hearts. If you've ever played Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, it's part of the Nintendo Classic.
Yeah.
That I was stupid enough to buy, but I like it anyway.
I'm not calling you stupid for buying it. I wouldn't buy it.
My money's worth out of it.
Yeah, exactly. If it's something you enjoy, it's great.
Exactly. So after this happens, do you remember anything else that happened on Saturday?
We went to lunch, and people wouldn't let me pay for anything.
Nice.
This entire weekend, no one would let me pay for. I didn't get to spend much of my own money because no one would let me pay. It was crazy.
I don't blame him.
Yeah. So we went to lunch. We came back. We'd missed a talk because of lunch. And then we went to Matt Dillahunty's talk, which in the room was too hot for me, so I got through half of it and then I had to leave. And then Callie wanted to hang out with people more, so we skipped a different talk just so we could talk to people and hang out with other people. And people just kept coming up to me and hugging me and saying congratulations, and that was crazy as well. I wasn't used to that.
Okay, so let's have a quick question on hugging. Now, Callie, of course, is well known in the atheist community for hugging prowess. I have to say you have some skills. And I'm not sure when I think this was before. It might have been Friday. It might have been Saturday. I don't remember exactly when, but I know we kind of did a cuddle hug, and I was like, this is pretty good. So I'm just saying, the Padawan is learning much from the master. Or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe you taught Callie,
I didn't teach Callie, but I've always been a big hugger. I just need to know people first, usually. And Callie's helping me get past that. I usually hug people when Callie hugs them. And I try to be as, open to meeting people and being an extrovert as possible. I used to be much more of an introvert than I am now. I guess you'd call me an omnivert now because I switch back and forth. I'm more heavily introverted than extroverted, but I can get it done.
Yeah. I get that because the first Reasoncon, I knew one person before. I mean, I'd met some people online, and that was a bit nerve-wracking. This time I had met, I'd swear, like 70% of the people there I had seen at the last Reasoncon. It was the last time I saw them. So it was like it was a bit of a family reunion. So I made a comment when I made a Facebook post on Monday. I was like, okay, I was trying to set a record for hugs and beers, and I definitely did the former. I don't know about the latter on this weekend because it was a crazy amount of hugs. I'm pretty sure the first time I saw Callie, I hugged her like 4 times. I'm like, no, one wasn't enough.
It never is. I had to hug her at least 50 times a day.
Yeah, I'm glad you're willing to share. You got to share Callie with the world, or you know. And how was your experience with the after party and us kind of heading out to that other building where the magic happens or not happens?
Well, the after party, when we walked in, I was already completely out of spoons. If you are familiar with spoon theory at all.
What's that?
It's basically a way of explaining that people with I'm bad at explaining things, but people with anxiety or I'm drawing a blank. But let's just go with people with anxiety have a certain amount of bandwidth to give before they can't handle anything anymore. And I was just out of social bandwidth. And so right when we walked in, there was this huge crowd. It was all bottlenecked because the 2 tables with drinks were set up, so people were all lined up. And I actually, within the first 5 minutes, ran off of Callie not even knowing. And she had to chase after me and found me in our room and basically cuddled me for a bit and then wanted to head back. And I went back with her, and then I found a little place to sit by myself under a staircase, and it was interesting because people kept noticing it and asking me how I got up there, but it still worked as a place to be away from people for a bit.
So you had a bit of your own like tree fort in a way.
Yeah, kind of. And then Bobby, Ashley, and Susie all joined me there for a bit too.
Yeah, I feel like I was downstairs the last time, and this time I ended up being upstairs because I was like, okay, I had my tub full of beer and ice, and then I transferred it to my cooler, and I basically brought a cooler going, some security guard's probably going to take this away from me. And then I got there, and so many people were like, man, the open bar drinks aren't that good. And I'm like, well, I got beer right here. And so I made some friends.
Yeah, the open bar drinks were awful. Like the hotel drinks were amazing. Like whiskey sour was perfect. Long Island iced tea was amazing. But over at the after party, the drinks, I saw them take a bottle of water and pour it into a whiskey sour while making it, and I'm like, no, that's awful.
Yeah, that was what I heard because the bar was a very popular area, and I kept saying, hey, I have beer, but whatever. But people, it had I don't know, maybe 10 different bottles of beer, which is enough. But yeah, the kind of mobile bar did not quite cover it, and I knew. That's why I said on my show, hey, I'm giving away my drink tickets, and of course Jeannie was the only one who was taking me up in the offer, and then I ended up giving to I don't even know who at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really matter. It was all a bit of a blur. If I remember any conversations I had on Saturday, I doubt it. I was just happy that some of the people I talked to had their name tags facing front so I could remember them. Because there were a few people I met on Saturday that I was like having to ask other people, what was that person's name so I can reach out to them? Because, that was a thing.
I met so many people this weekend, or last weekend. It was crazy.
I know. It's kind of like, do you feel maxed out a bit after something like that?
Yes.
I can't give any more. I'm sorry, people.
Yeah. When we got home off the plane, I just went straight to my computer and started ignoring the world for a bit.
Yeah, I could see that. Well, I mean, not only that, but you're going to get a ton of attention because of the engagement and the fact that everybody knows Callie, everybody loves Callie, everybody loves you now. Haha.
Yep.
You're loved too. Haha.
Someone actually asked for my autograph.
Awesome.
Which was interesting because I do nothing. I mean, the most activism I've done was at my college when I was president of the transgender and gender nonconforming student organization. That's about the extent of my activism.
Now, was it somebody wanting you to sign a Bible, or was it Rachel wanting you to sign her shirt? There were quite a few people looking for autographs.
I feel bad because I can't remember their names. It was a couple. They originally came up and asked Callie for an autograph and then left, and then they came back and was like, we forgot to ask you for an autograph. I'm like, okay.
They didn't complete the set, exactly.
Yeah.
It was Stacy Reborl, who might have done this 2 years ago, who asked me to sign. She got the Gideon's Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of thinking, like, are they going to have the Bibles in the room? Yes, they had the Bibles in the room. So she had hers and had autograph. And I don't know if you're like this, but I don't handwrite anything anymore. I use my phone to take notes on like a job interview. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
So when I sign my name, I'm like have a second grade's handwriting now. So now I've just determined that my Zachrilege autograph is Zachrilege in all caps, and it's going to look bad, but that's just the way it is. Yeah. It's not about me, it's about you, right?
Well, actually, I have really bad handwriting. I've always had bad handwriting. Like, all of my grade school teachers hated me because they're like, we can't read your handwriting. And that was actually, honestly, very frustrating because in 8th grade, that actually held me back from going to advanced science in high school because I didn't know I could veto my 8th grade teacher. And she wouldn't sign for me to go to advanced science. So in high school, my freshman year, I was in the normal science class and bored to tears because we were going over the scientific method, which was something I had learned in like 4th grade.
I bet, yeah.
Yeah, my handwriting has been always bad, and I've always preferred to type things. And I was really glad when I found out that you can use laptops in most college classes and not have to worry about it.
Yeah, talk about things changing. I mean, when I was in college, we just were getting like dial-up. And having a computer was kind of optional, but now, yeah, people have them in the class. People are like playing games in class and that kind of stuff.
I did that, to be truthful, and some classes that I knew I could pass without worrying about it.
I mean, my nephew's in high school now. People were getting in trouble because they were like streaming Netflix shows during class. I'm like, that's impressive.
That is impressive.
You were doing some good stuff. Yeah. So, all right. I'm going to try this and see if this works out. I'm going to do a bit of I like to do a live read for another show or a conference, but I don't have that kind of thing this week. I'm going to try to thank people, and like Celes, I'm going to forget people.
Mm-hmm.
Feel free to come at me, bro, because, you know, I tried to be as many people as possible. I started this yesterday, and I finished it today, and I'm like, I think I got a lot of people, but not necessarily everybody. So this is just a quick Reasoncon kind of thank you. So first, thanks to Jeannie for the beer. She brought me beer from Vermont, Mountain Ale from Shed, and the, what is this? The Hearth of Loki? Lothian? This sounds like a video game. And they're quite good. I have 2 other beers, but I'm not going to drink them all in one night. I mean, are you crazy? So thanks to Jeannie for the beer. It's supercalifragilisticexpialidocious good. Thanks to Chris for helping drink my beer and join the Party Palace. Thanks to Shujin Tribble for showing me that love can last beyond the grave. Thanks to Jeremiah Bannister and Team Tiny Dancer Forever for putting a smile on my face while I cried. Thanks to Bobby C for giving me the 3/4 finger and being a spotless MC. Thanks to Shannon Nebo for normalized atheism. Thanks to Mark 2. Thanks to Jennifer Lovejoy for coming out of retirement. Thanks to Andrew Torres for giving me a Scotch-fueled pep talk. Thanks to Noah for chatting about the Giants RB situation. Thanks to Tom of Cognitive Dissonance for handing me that slice of New York-style pizza. Thanks to Gene for giving thanks and putting on a tireless host performance. Thanks to Rachel for thinking I'm worthy of signing the hug shirt and the bumper sticker for you on YouTube. I got a PSF bumper sticker. Thanks to Sober, Drunk, and Very Drunk Susie. Thanks to Miss Ashley for not killing me after helping create Very Drunk Susie. Thanks to Brian and Lexi for lunch, and I owe you more beers. Thanks to Betty for showing me a new appreciation for the Bible. Thanks to Daniel for being a good roommate and not drinking all my beer like you could have. Thanks to Tucker for the best self-promotional t-shirts. Thanks to Andy and Alan for joining me for dinner on Saturday night and defending me against Jesus while we talked about beer. Thanks to Bill for the best live the weekend that my show is better than the bar room. The only way I'm better is BAC and the number of episodes. Thank you to everyone else for being understanding when I forget to include anyone. I blame the beer. Thanks to Callie for creating an unforgettable memory, and thanks to Celes for upping the love quotient. That's all I got. Feel free to let me know where I forgot. I got you, so that's good, right?
Yeah.
So you have a date with Destiny coming up, Magic Science Vagina coming up.
Yep.
When were you able to schedule that, and what was it like to get that together? I know I talked about Callie about this, but I want to hear the other side of the story.
Well, Callie actually got hers scheduled a little bit, or got her stuff sent to the doctor a little bit before me because I was procrastinating because I didn't think I didn't have insurance yet and didn't know if it was going to go through. So I had to wait on that. And two, I just was procrastinating because it's a big decision either way.
Yeah, I would say that, yeah. I mean,
but Callie
can't relate.
Callie starting the process kind of, I don't know, opened my eyes and made me think I need to get this started too. So I just went with the doctor that she had done research with, asked her about things, looked up pictures. Yes, there are pictures on the website of results.
Yes, there are.
Yeah. So looked at those, did some more research myself, ended up saying that, yeah, this doctor is amazing, and sent that doctor office an email to schedule a consultation call and got all the paperwork filled out for them, which was a lot of paperwork. Not only do you have to fill out the patient intake form, you have to get 2 signed letters from 2 different mental health professionals. One can be a non-doctorate, like a therapist, and then one has to have a PhD. And then once you have those, you also need a letter from your either endocrinologist or primary care doctor, whoever's handling your hormones, to certify you've been on hormones for more than 2 years. And once you jump through all those hoops, then you're good.
It seems like a lot of hoops.
Yeah, it is. And
seems like a bit of a tough way to go to, because you're like going to, it's in the San Francisco area, right?
Yes.
Which is a great place, but you're going to be spending most of it in recovery, right?
Yeah, thankfully we're flying in a week early because they have a pre-surgery checkup. And so we'll have a week to go around San Francisco before we are bedridden for the rest of the time. And we're there for a month. Her surgery is on the 24th. Mine's on the 26th of July.
So you think it would be better to be the second person to go through this of the two?
Nah, I would have preferred to be first for a couple of reasons. One, because she wanted to be there for me because I was there for her surgery, for her bariatric surgery. So she's kind of sad that I'm going second from that. And then two, I don't know, I'd rather just get it done. I've watched a video of what they do and I don't recommend it.
I don't know if I'd want to watch surgery. I was watching on the way home, I listened to a Seth Andrews episode, and he was talking about how he was going to get like tennis elbow surgery, some kind of reconstruction. And he actually watched surgery on YouTube, and it's like, people do that now. And I'm like, I've had a few surgeries, and I don't think I want to see it, but I understand. You're like, what exactly are they going to do? And yeah, what's the recovery going to be like? And yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah, apparently the doctor said it's going to take a year to feel normal after the surgery. That's how major it is.
I was wondering when the official, post party would be. It sounds like it's going to be a few months at least.
That's a couple months, yeah.
Is there any kind of a conference coming up around that time? I know there's some kind of Pennsylvania conference some point later this year that people were talking about.
Yeah, Callie, I believe, is going to speak at that one. I can't remember exactly. I need to ask her. I might not be able to go. That's around the time where open enrollment's going on, and I am a business analyst for HR, so I'm going to be very busy at that time. If I can get the time off, though, I'll definitely go.
So has Callie put together like tour T-shirts for like Atheist Manifesto for all the appearances?
I don't know. I went with her for our actual tour of the South when she was talking at colleges for the most of them, and that was a lot of driving. We didn't fly at all then.
I am so sad because Hugh Man, he lives in Atlanta, and I've seen him more conferences than in Atlanta. Had you over, and I was just sick, and I just could not go.
Yeah, you were sick that night.
I
That
was
was
just
sad.
like, I felt bad, but I hadn't seen Callie since Reasoncon, and it's just, I don't know. In a way, it's like, oh, it's cool to be. Well, I mean, I did see it at NanoCon, but just to go, wow, 2 years, what a journey it's been, huh?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming because of surgery and everything, there hasn't been a date set yet?
No. We're probably going to figure it out after the surgery. Callie definitely wants to make it in less than a year from now, though.
Talk about the social event of the season, huh?
Yeah. WeddingCon 2.
Wedding Con 2. That's pretty exciting. I'm just glad. I mean, I met Callie Reasoncon a couple of years ago, and she was still kind of new to podcasting and everything, but you could tell we had a superstar on our hands, and looks like you've taken good care of her. Obviously, to plan. I mean, I don't even think I went from being engaged to getting married within a year, and to plan this in advance for a year, that's something else.
Yeah, I was overwhelmed. And
Yeah.
I put myself down a lot, honestly. But I don't like tooting my own horn, but I have helped her out with a lot of things. She's told me I was the reason why she went to a sleep doctor to get a CPAP to check out her sleep apnea, because she would stop breathing in the middle of the night, and it would scare me.
Yeah.
So I kept pushing her towards going to a sleep doctor. And she ended up having like 120 apneas an hour. that's horrible for you.
Yeah.
So that's helped her a lot. The reason she was in that dental surgery is I'd pushed her to go to the dentist to have them checked, because she hadn't been to the dentist in a long time.
That's usually a bad thing.
Yeah. So that probably improved her health a bit. Yeah, I'm doing my best to support her. I love her so much.
Yeah, I think we see that. I think that's awesome. I mean, it's not just like, people say the junk about creating a family, but really we sometimes have to support each other because we don't always get the family support.
Mm-hmm.
And even if we do, it's kind of like, well, it's kind of reluctant. And then you find people who are with you, then it's like, oh, this is it. I found my place, and it's great. I found my people.
Yes, definitely.
People. I found my bartenders. Yeah, all good stuff. So, is there anything else you wanted to talk about? We gone pretty good tonight.
You're asking the wrong person to think of things.
I know there's no usually a show or blog or anything, but I don't know anything else you wanted to talk about. Anything I might have missed. I'm glad you're with me. Like, okay, I probably missed some people, but I don't know them yet. I'll get them later.
Yeah, I'll learn as fast as I can. To shamelessly plug something, we're still working on that fundraiser, but I feel awful bringing that up, honestly.
What is that through? And I'll include that in the show notes.
That's, I believe, let me look.
And if you don't have it, we'll get it. I didn't know if it was GoFundMe or if it was a different site.
It's You Caring.
You Caring, okay.
I can get you the link. Yeah, we're still. I mean, the fundraiser has been amazing. I can't complain. I mean, people have given so much, and it's overwhelming. But this traveling and getting this done is going to be an ordeal.
Well, I'm just guessing based on insurance, you're not getting everything covered, and yeah, you're trying to flying to San Francisco and you're staying there. I don't know how long you have to stay there.
We're going to be there for a month. So we're there from the 18th of July until the 17th of August.
That's a while.
Yeah.
But that's how long they make you have to stay.
Yeah, there's 3 checkups, and all 3 weeks before you can go back.
I think that makes sense. And that's quite a journey. I am just glad it's going as well as it can, because even surgery, like, I need this, is still it's still surgery, you know? It's not fun. I've had a few myself.
We'll keep everyone updated on it, though, definitely. I mean, Callie. She's going to be an open book on that.
Yeah, there's going to be some good episodes.
Yeah.
Of Gaytheist Manifesto coming up. Okay, well, if you want to support this show, be like Bobby, Hugh, Teody, and Marissa, 3 of the 4 I saw this weekend, and support the show on Patreon, patreon.com/Sacrilege, ZACHRILEGE. And yes, I had to tell lots of people that's hard to spell. I work in marketing technically, and that's not good. Anyway, if you want to, follow me on Twitter @Zachrilege, like my Zachrilege Cast page on Facebook, and send all hate mail to zachrilege.cast@gmail.com. Thanks to Celes for being on tonight. For the listeners, stay safe. And if you need to chat, I'm available. If you're an atheist and feel alone, you are not alone. Reach out. Let's chat and get that human connectedness that keeps people coming back every Sunday. Stay skeptical. I love all y'all, and good night.